gentlemen of all ages, welcome to Fulton Street Beats, and today we are going to be preaching the gospel of cheap guitars to you. That is right. I hope you are here to get your ears tickled and hear some things that's going to be very spiritual, very eye-opening, and very uplifting, hopefully. And if we can pull our heads from out of our asses, we will be able to see the light, brother. That is right. Okay, so the discussion today is inexpensive guitars. Are they worth it? Are expensive guitars worth it? What's the in-between ground? It's a very interesting topic, right? The answers are easier than you might think if we can set aside a thing that is very hard to set aside, and that is called the American ego. That is right, ladies and gentlemen. If we can set aside the ego for 5 minutes, we might be able to just draw a conclusion that may surprise a lot of people. So let's start with this. Back in the day, we had some guitar companies that made some excellent guitars, and they built a name and a reputation for being the best. And, well, time passes and things change, and people become, well, egotistical and arrogant, and they still think they have the best, but actually think that they're so good that they don't have to be the best anymore because they have brainwashed everybody else into thinking that they're the best. That is right. That happens. And is a common way that humans communicate with each other. They like to brainwash each other into believing certain things, which makes the people who have money get more money. Money makes the world go round. As I like to say, it just kind of stops the world dead in its tracks, honestly, because it takes away the human element of people, and it takes away the intelligence of people and how they think and how they feel. They tell you how to feel, you do it. They tell you what to eat, you do it. And it is the same thing with guitars. That is right. We have all been brainwashed into thinking that the elite guitar names that we see pushed in front of our name on stage every day is the ones to have because they are simply the best and nothing can compare to them. That is false, ladies and gentlemen. That is false. That is not true. In no way, shape, or form is that true. There is companies that do things better than others, and most of that is lies. They're better at lying than other companies, and that is the truth. Like I said, we're going to get very spiritual here today, so I hope you enjoy this episode. We're going to talk budget guitars, and let me give you a little background. I am a custom drum builder. I've been a drum player for years, and I built custom drums for years. Baker Percussion, Wicked Nation Custom Drums. That is right. And in my endeavor, in my drum building experience now of many, many years, let's put it this way, I'm 50 years old, and I've been doing it for quite a long time. And they are boutique-style drums, and I sell to, well, very privileged, I'd like to think, individuals who have enough money to buy these kits because it's a lot of time and effort into making them. And now, does that make my kits the best? No way. Does it make them sound the best? No way. Is there plenty of cheap kits that sound good, as good, or better? Yes, that is true. Why? Well, because no matter what kind of things that I do to these kits, or should I say materials that are used or time that I put into them, there is always kits that can sound better, and that is due to the resonance of the wood. I have no control over that. That is nature's job. And what I do have control over is the cutting of the bearing edges. I have control over the thickness of the shells and what stav pieces I am using, and I can kind of hand select things, I guess, a bit, but that I have heard cheap kits sound better than my kits, and that is a fact. I am not special. I am not a chosen one. I am not ordained in drum building, and yes, there have been many cheap kits that sound better to my subjective ears. And that is another key, is subjective ears. Everything is subjective. Sound is subjective. What sounds good to me may not sound good to you. And if we all do blind tests and just use our ears and not look at names, not look at logos, not know what electronics are in things when it comes to guitars, we may draw totally different conclusions than what our brains made us, our brainwashed brains made us think to begin with. Because it's amazing when we see a logo, how we think, and we make a decision based on that logo before we hear anything. Well, that was a little crisper. That was a little cleaner. That was a little drier. That one's a little blah. We justify what we're saying because the reality is in the back of our minds. We know it's not true. We just have the ego where we don't want to accept it or say it to another individual. So when we go out and we pay, and I have done this, I have 5 upstairs, and we buy a big name guitar brand, especially when we first get into it, we don't know what we're doing. And I owned guitars before I even started playing guitar because I am horrible at guitar. And I am a new guitar player, and I am proud to say it. But I'm an old drummer, and I know how things get built, and I have a degree in mechanical engineering. So I know how things go together. I know how things work. And I know there's workarounds for everything, and there's easy paths to take that might not be the traditional route that we take to accomplish the same goal. And I hope that makes sense to you. Yes, I'm here to preach the good news. Okay, so we got 5 guitars upstairs. They are all high-end guitars. They are locked away. They are safe. They're in a climate-controlled environment. Why? Not because because they cost a fortune. That's why. They cost a fortune, and I don't want nothing to happen to them, and things disintegrate over time, especially wood. Wood deteriorates. It shrinks. It expands. It becomes different. It changes with the world, if you will. So, were they an investment? Hell no, they were not an investment. I thought they were at the time, but they're not. You want to know why? They weren't played by anybody rich and famous. I am not rich and famous. And they'll never be worth any more than what they were worth when I bought them. And realistically, they're worth less. That is a fact. So what I did is I threw my money away at these guitars, not knowing how to play for one. And just, I'm going to buy them as an investment because they have a name brand on them that everybody loves. Well, you know what? It made no difference. They're dead horses. They're sitting up there. I want to keep them worth what they're worth, so I don't play them. Do they sound better than anything else? No, not even close. I have cheap guitars that simply sound better to my subjective ears. And that is the reality. So in order for me to prove this to myself, I had to literally have somebody hand me guitars and play them and say, this one sounds better. And to my surprise, I picked a cheap guitar every time. That is insane. But that's the reality. That's when you start snapping out of your slumber and you start coming awake. Now, do people love the sound of big names like Gibson? Yes, they do. Does Gibson sound good? Yes, they do, along with many other manufacturers such as Jackson, such as Ibanez, such as ESP. These manufacturers all know what they're doing, and they all make nice guitars. Some better than others. Some uniformly better than others. Gibson is riding the coattails of yesteryear. So their quality is not what it used to be. I'll be the first to say it. Their egos have gotten too big. Their heads have gotten too big. And the price of their guitars has gotten retarded. And that's the word of the day. So, when these new upcoming players, such as myself, get into a guitar, why do I buy guitars if I didn't play them? Well, I thought they were a work of art. I like musical instruments. I have tons of musical instruments. I have violins. I have oboes. I have saxophones. I have everything. But doesn't mean I know how to play everything. But to me, they're works of art. We'll get around to learning them one day, hopefully, if I live long enough. But for right now, we're sticking with guitar and we're learning. But buying a guitar and getting into a guitar, you find out how they're built, especially somebody with a background in building. Yes, I find out how they're built, how they set up. What is all this rocket science magic? This black magic miracles of setting up a guitar that they speak of. There's no magic. That's the magic trick. There is no magic. The magic is having some common sense to set up a guitar. That's right. You too can buy an inexpensive guitar and with a little to no investment, set it up to play and sound just like an expensive guitar. Don't let anybody hear that. Don't let the word get out. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, let the word get out. This is going to make people mad. It will. We have been convinced that the wood itself in an electric guitar will make a huge difference in the sound. That is false, as Elvis Presley put it. It is totally false, and it has been proven. I have proven it. He has proven it. It has been proven. You can take a 2x4 and put some good pickups and electronics in it and put a neck on it, and it will sound just like a Gibson Les Paul. Do you know why, ladies and gentlemen? Because the electronics are doing the work. The amp you are playing through is doing the work. The computer you are running everything through your software to do is doing the grunt work. As a matter of fact, I could make my gem sound like a Les Paul using my computer. That is right. It is all electronics. It is all frequency. There is some small exceptions to that rule, and that comes with hollow bodies and semi-hollow guitars because we're changing the resonance, a major resonance of string vibration. So what makes guitars sound good? Well, we've already established. Or bad. Or does it? Or is it all subjective? Because yes, it is all subjective. We all loved the PAFs, right? We love PAF pickups. Love them. Unless, God forbid, they are microphonic. That's right. That is the swear word of the day. Microphonic. We cannot have a microphonic feedback. It simply will not be tolerated. Unless, of course, it's a Gibson microphonic feedback that was microphonic pickup that was, a P90 from back in the day. Maybe that's okay though. We can have that one because that's a P90. That one's okay. No. You either like it or you don't. Microphonics have control sound a bit. So a microphonic pickup has a different sound characteristic of a pickup that's not microphonic. That's why we wax powder pickups or prefer not to. In the case of these beautiful Firefly guitars back on my wall here, $200 guitar that is built extremely, extremely well and pretty well set up out of the box and can be made to sound just as good as any high-end guitar on the face of God's big, expansive earth. That is a fact. But they're not the only ones. You know how I know this? Because I had a bad experience with a guitar company one time, and I set out to build a kit guitar that was better than the one they sent me. And you know what I found out was? It took me a day to do such a task. To complete that task took me a day to set up a guitar from a kit that played better than a name brand kit and sounded better. My goal was set. My goal was laid out in front of me. My path was there, and I took it. I followed that road, and that's when the journey started. So just how many cheap guitars can be good or better than expensive guitars? Well, just about all of them if you're willing to put a little bit of work into them, and some, none. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll show you this guitar. This is my Blue Beauty, and as you can see, it's a beautiful Les Paul. It's totally mahogany. It's got P90s in it. And it's got amazing fretwork, amazing frets. It has a quality feel to it. It's my best playing guitar and subjectively the best sounding guitar if you like the P90 sound. Because it's a balance of heaviness and articulation is what I like to call it. It does everything not perfectly, but well. Is it a perfect metal guitar? No, but it will do it. Is it a perfect rock guitar? No, but it will do it. Is it a perfect jazz guitar? No, but it will do it. Is it a perfect funk guitar? No, but it will do it. It is the best all-around guitar that I have. In my eyes, opinions may vary. You might like the sound of a whole different guitar. But the point is, this guitar is amazing. What did this guitar cost me? It cost me peanuts with a case. That's right, the peanuts came in packaging. And this was great because I didn't have to pick them up off the floor. This guitar came from Brandon's Custom Shop. And total with the case cost me $280 with a case. The case is a beautiful hardshell case. It is behind me. You probably can't see it, but it's beautiful. And the guitar is beautiful. It is set up beautifully. I have done no work other than raising the bridge just a smidge. Have I changed the strings on this guitar? No, it's that good. I am not going to mess with the perfection that I feel when I play this guitar. And it looks like a Gibson, does it not? Hell, I put a Gibson logo on the pickguard. Why? Because it is actual Gibson pickguard. I changed the pickguard to a Gibson pickguard. But you know what, ladies and gentlemen? It's not a Gibson. It is a no-name guitar. But to piss people off because of logos, we put Gibson Custom Shop on the back. That is right. There's a water slide decal on the back. Call the Gibson police. I dare you. Point being, it's an amazing, amazing guitar that cost peanuts that I won't that I would put against any Gibson in the world, but it's not the only guitar that I have that's inexpensive that I would do that. We have a Jackson Rhodes on the back wall, an actual Jackson Rhodes, and that guitar cost me $270. It is a heavy-sounding son of a bitch that plays awesome, plays amazingly well, and amazingly fast. Beyond the scope of my capabilities, for sure. But then let's talk about what we're capable of if we know how to build something. Well, as you guys know, this is my workhorse relic pile of poo. And this guitar has Chinese pickups in it that are wax potted. This is the heaviest sounding guitar that I own. I have the switch in upside down because I prefer my treble being up and dropping to rhythm. I have a bridge that has wax in it to cut down on vibration. This is my experimentation guitar. This guitar plays amazing. The setup amazing. The action is amazing, and it's got a sticker that says Old Gibson on it. Why? Because it makes people lose sleep. Listen to me preach. Gibson logo. Doesn't have a Gibson headstock. Gibson logo. Chinese tuner. Custom shop on the back. Plays like a Gibson. And what I mean is it's not perfect playing, but it's very close. It is not perfect. But it's fun and it sounds good. And if you heard this guitar, or 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 this guitar on an album, you would not know what you're listening to. Take, for instance, Slash played a knockoff of a Les Paul on the Appetite for Destruction album. That is right. It was a knockoff. It was built by a luthier. And a good one. But it had a Gibson logo and everything on it. It was not a Gibson. But it sounded good. He played it and he used it because imitation is the best form of flattery, regardless of what Gibson or any other company has told you. They should be happy that people wanted to be like them. But now, they don't want to be like them. Gibson had some good looks. That's flattering, right? That's flattering. And now it's not working out so well for them when they're trying to patent shapes or fonts. Because the reality of it is, we're all allowed to have whatever we want. It's a free society, right? Or is it? Now, Slash sounded so good with this guitar that was built by someone who actually was a really good guitar builder that Gibson approached him and said, Slash, can we counterfeit the counterfeit? Can we counterfeit your counterfeit of a counterfeit? Basically, I've gone cross-eyed. So let me get this straight. You don't like counterfeits. You sue everybody for counterfeiting, but you approached Slash, who had a counterfeit in your eyes, and you said, or is it a replica in your eyes now that it serves your purpose? It's flattery now. So Slash, can we please build a copy of your copy of the real one that they copied but did better so we can boost our sales to save our company? Well, yes, you can. And you know what? That's still happening today. They're still riding the coattails of Slash. Wow. What happens when that coattail falls apart? Threads don't last forever. My point is, prices mean nothing. If it's $100, if it's $6,000, they don't mean a thing as long as what you have in your hands is good for you and sounds good for you and puts a smile on your face and makes you happy. How many of us, when we first got into this, started going, oh, what's the measurements of this? My God. Well, I need to know the shape of the neck and the measurement here and the measurement here and the measurement here and what's the nut and what's this and how about here? What about on the 14th fret? What about on the 12th fret? What is this? It means nothing until you put that guitar in your hand and you start working up and down the fretboard. Because they're all different. Every single one are different. You could take two Les Pauls, you could take two Jackson Rhodes V's. Each one is a little different, ladies and gentlemen. That is a fact, because everything has a little bit different characteristic, an aura, if you will. And that's what makes us feel good. So if it makes you feel good playing a guitar with this logo on it, go right ahead. But do not bash people who have other logos on their headstock. And don't assume that because your guitar says a name that it is better than their guitar, because that is subjective. So many people love this beat up Relic and the sound of it. And they say that's the coolest guitar. You know what? It's a pile. It does sound good and it does play good. Is it the prettiest? No. Is that why you like it? Okay, I get it. It's the vibe. You love the vibe. But don't hate on everybody else's vibe. Don't be a vibe hater. Don't be that guy. So guys, remember, it is rock and roll that makes the world go round. No matter what logo is on your headstock, you do for you and what makes you happy. And thanks for watching Fulton Street Beats. If you like this video, please hit like, share, and subscribe. And remember, I'll be talking to you soon.